Babes, they are rigging this bracket right in front of our very eyes.
Yeah.
And the delusion is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
I am, like, screaming.
I mean, we are witnessing an absolute masterclass in tampering. It's blatant psychological warfare, honestly.
Babes, welcome back. This one is for the babes, the queens, the kings, and literally everybody. Welcome back, Snark Squad.
Grab your notebooks and, your emotional support beverages because we have so much to unpack.
Babes, the frozen strawberry margaritas are on deck tonight. And babes, we promise you these are literally the drink of queens. So cheers.
Cheers. And let the historical records show that consuming a cocktail in any state other than partially frozen is strictly peasant behavior.
Oh, completely.
Liquid cocktails are just like a sign of a rushed, uncurated life.
I'm already emotionally attached to this margarita.
Yeah.
There is just something about the structural integrity of a frozen drink that automatically improves your life.
It's the suspension of reality.
Yes. The moment you wrap your hand around that thick frosted glass, it is this immediate wave of feeling fabulous. It's like a physical shield against the horrors of the world. One sip, and I am suddenly vibrating at a higher frequency.
That is the exact psychology of the frozen beverage. It requires specific glassware.
Exactly, the stem.
Right. It requires a stem, and holding a stemmed glass filled with crushed ice makes you feel like you are sitting right there on the judging panel, right behind the main stage.
Oh my gosh, I feel like Michelle Visage right now.
You hold it up, you look down your nose through the condensation, and suddenly you are critiquing a hemline. Regular liquid cocktails are just tragic. They are watery. They sweat all over the mahogany.
The sweating glasses. It ruins the vibe. A frozen strawberry margarita stays icy, it stays snatched, and it commands absolute respect. And plus, there is this deep, almost primitive emotional power to strawberry-flavored anything.
Oh, absolutely. The artificial red dye alone.
Literally. I do not care if it's organic or if it's literally just a red gummy bear melted down in a vat of tequila. Strawberry speaks directly to my inner child, while simultaneously enabling my outer messy adult.
It's the manufactured delusion we require to get through the riggery of this specific television program.
Right.
We need the brain freeze to numb the absolute nonsense we just watched. A frozen drink suspends reality, much like a good reality TV edit.
Oh, that is so true. The frozen drink is the green screen of beverages. Okay, babes, we have received so many wild, shady, snarky, or stupid submissions lately.
Yeah.
And babes, you already know we are here for the mess.
The Snark Squad really outdoes themselves. The total lack of shame is inspiring. It reminds me of the Werk Room, honestly.
It really does. Okay, so let's dig into confession number 1. Listen to this. Our listener says, I was texting my best friend about this absolutely horrific outfit our mutual friend wore to a party. I took a screenshot of her Instagram post, typed out an entire paragraph roasting the boots she chose, and I accidentally sent it directly to the girl in the photo.
Oh, the sheer, unadulterated terror of that digital latency.
I am sweating just reading it.
I can physically feel the blood draining from this person's extremities. Let's analyze the mechanics of the unsend button here, because it is the most stressful, deceptive feature ever invented.
It is. Because you press unsend.
You press it, the text disappears on your screen in a little puff of digital smoke, but there's always that terrifying latency period.
Did she have push notifications turned on?
Oh, the push notification preview is the enemy of deceit.
Exactly. Did the text preview pop up on her Apple Watch while she was driving, meaning she saw the roast before you could retract it?
Because your phone will politely say, message unsent, but it cannot guarantee what they saw. You are left in this purgatory of not knowing if your friendship is over or if you got away with murder. This is why you must double, triple check the contact photo at the top of the chat. Have you ever done this?
I am meticulous. I do not leave a digital paper trail of my shade. If I am roasting a boot, it is done verbally in a soundproof room.
A soundproof room, I love that. But we have to rule on this. Is it shady, snarky, or stupid? I have to go with stupid.
Yeah, I think so too.
True shade requires surgical execution. Snark requires wit and timing. Sending the photographic evidence directly to the victim. That's just a clerical error of the highest, stupidest order. You essentially handed the prosecution the murder weapon.
I have to agree, it is completely stupid. But is it also kind of iconic? It's like the universe intervened and said, say it to her face, you coward.
A cosmic intervention of shade.
Exactly. I have to confess, I actually did this years ago. I took a screenshot of a guy's dating profile to mock his bio, and I accidentally sent it to the guy himself on the app.
Oh, no.
My soul left my body. I threw my phone across the room like it was an active explosive device.
Naturally, because the phone is permanently cursed after an event like that, you have to submerge it in holy water, buy a new device in cash, and assume a new identity.
Literally. Okay, confession number 2 before my smartwatch tells me my heart rate is dangerously high. Picture this. I was on a first date that was going horribly. The vibes were completely off. I pretended my phone died so I couldn't look up the movie times we were supposed to go to, told him I was just going to go home because of the emergency, and faked a whole dramatic, oh no, my battery moment.
Oh, the theater of it all.
Wait, it gets better. 10 minutes later, while safely in my Uber, I posted a full glam selfie on my Instagram story, and he immediately replied to it.
The absolute audacity, the unbridled, dangerous main character energy of this lie. It's breathtaking.
The emotional whiplash. Why do we do this to ourselves? We construct a lie that is so unbelievably fragile, so easily disprovable, but in the heat of the moment, we feel like criminal masterminds.
Masterminds who forget how the internet works.
Exactly. You really thought you secured the bag, got in the Uber, looked at your lighting, and felt so gorgeous you just had to post. The vanity overriding the survival instinct.
See, you have to look at the mechanics of the lie. Faking a dead phone is an incredibly complex theatrical maneuver. You have to commit to the bit. You have to aggressively tap the black screen, maybe execute a heavy, frustrated sigh.
You really have to sell the modern inconvenience of a depleted lithium-ion battery.
Precisely. The issue here isn't the lie itself. The issue is the utter lack of discipline in the aftermath. If you are going to pull a stunt like that, you have to enforce a strict 24-hour social media embargo.
100%.
The ruling here is undeniably snarky in its conception, bordering on arrogant, but ending in catastrophic stupidity.
But wait, don't you think there is a difference between arrogance and just wanting to escape a bad date? Like, I have absolutely faked an illness to get out of a brunch with someone exhausting, only to immediately go to a different brunch across town with better people.
You are playing a dangerous game with karma.
But the paranoia of looking over your shoulder while eating eggs, Benedict, terrified they might walk past the patio, it's exhilarating.
You are tempting fate for hollandaise sauce. Let's see if the final confession is any less sociopathic.
Okay, confession number 3. Trigger warning for anyone with a weak stomach. I was shopping at the mall and I desperately needed to use the washroom. I was trying to hold it because the bathrooms were all the way at the other end of the concourse.
I already know where this is going and I hate it.
Listen, I saw a cute pair of shoes on a bottom shelf in a department store, bent over to grab them, and had a catastrophic public embarrassment. I had to tie my sweater around my waist and waddle to my car in pure shame, abandoning the shoes.
I am staring into the abyss and the abyss is asking for a wet wipe.
I am paralyzed with secondhand embarrassment. I'm crying for you, you poor thing. We've all played the dangerous high-stakes game of, I can make it, it's just 2 more stores.
It is never just 2 more stores.
Never. But mall bathrooms are architecturally designed to punish you. They are always located the most inconvenient, hidden labyrinth behind the food court, down a hallway that looks like a maintenance closet.
This is a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. It is a cautionary tale about the hubris of mankind. You challenged your own biological imperatives for a pair of discount shoes, and nature brutally collected its debt.
The bending over, that was a mistake.
Bending over was your fatal flaw. The physics simply do not support a 90-degree angle when the structural integrity of your digestive tract is already compromised. You shifted the center of gravity, and gravity won.
Tying the sweater around the waist, that is the universal distress signal. That is the white flag of surrender in modern retail.
It really is.
If you see someone briskly walking through a Macy's with a chunky knit sweater aggressively tied around their hips in the middle of July, you look away out of respect. We are ruling the stupid, but with so much warmth and empathy.
We are spiraling into absolute chaos today. I am sending thoughts and prayers to that listener's dignity and, more importantly, to their car upholstery.
Sending you healing energy, truly. Okay, moving on. Babes, by the time you hear this, it'll officially be the weekend. So happy weekend, babes.
Yeah. A weekend that will inevitably be ruined by obligations.
Exactly, because this weekend we will be at our niece's birthday party. And babes, we are praying for good weather. Because it's an outdoor party.
Let us be very clear. An outdoor family party is not a celebration. It is a hostage situation held entirely at the mercy of local meteorologists.
Yes. Outdoor party stress is a real diagnosed medical condition. The emotional damage of a rain forecast is devastating. Have you ever planned an outdoor event and watched your entire personality disintegrate?
Regularly.
We have been checking the weather app every 15 minutes. I am staring at the little cartoon rain cloud icon, then looking at the percentage, and my brain starts breaking. Like, what does 30% actually mean?
Nobody actually knows.
Right. Does it mean it will rain for 30% of the day? Does it mean there's a 30% chance it will rain at all? Does it mean 30% of my geographical area will get wet?
It's the total psychosis induced by the weather app.
Yeah.
You start swiping down to refresh it as if your sheer concentrated willpower can push the cold front east. It is a fascinating delusion of control, much like a drag queen trying to control their edit on reality TV. You cannot fight atmospheric pressure. And let's discuss the logistical nightmare that family events become when the weather turns. We have a bouncy castle rented.
Oh, no.
Do you know what a bouncy castle turns into when it rains?
A slip and slide of despair.
A plastic death trap for toddlers. It becomes a localized biohazard of muddy socks and crying children.
And the teenagers. There will be a pack of teenagers there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more humiliating in the human experience than trying to look cool and put together in front of a group of 14-year-olds while you were desperately trying to tape down a plastic tablecloth in a windstorm.
They are merciless.
They just look at you with such cold, clinical pity.
Yeah.
I already know my outfit is going to get judged, and if it rains, the humidity is going to make my hair expand to 3 times its normal size. I will lose all physical authority.
Let me relieve you of a burden. You never had any authority with the teenagers to begin with.
Oh.
They sense fear. They smell desperation. The only survival tactic is to stand firmly by the cooler, maintain a tight grip on your hard seltzer, and avoid direct eye contact at all costs.
I am taking notes. Okay, babes, speaking of things we don't understand, have no authority over, but are somehow deeply involved in, we might actually be entering our sports era, because somehow we keep getting invited to watch English Premier League soccer matches.
And babes, what?
I am equally appalled and intrigued by this bizarre social development. The fact that we are suddenly expected to understand what an offside is feels deeply offensive to my brand.
I genuinely do not understand how this happened. We are not sports people. We are reality TV people. But all of our friends are suddenly waking up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday, putting on scarves, and going to a pub to scream at a television.
It's cult behavior.
Have you ever found yourself nodding along to a conversation about European soccer, just praying no one asks you a follow-up question? I am just sitting there drinking a mimosa, trying to confidently use sports terminology, like, wow, great pitch, mate, look at him, kick that sphere. Am I doing it right? You are doing horribly. Your performance is entirely transparent.
I'm trying.
The stress of trying to memorize soccer statistics 5 minutes before kickoff just to survive small talk is a unique, agonizing kind of hell. I am in the Uber on the way to the pub, furiously Googling who is Arsenal and why are we furious with them today, just so I don't get outed as a fraud. It's pure imposter syndrome.
Oh, I am dealing with the imposter syndrome by leaning into my strengths. I am choosing my teams based entirely on the aesthetic vibes of their jerseys and the players' hair.
Obviously.
I saw a team wearing this gorgeous, perfectly tailored pastel blue kit, and I immediately announced that's my team. They understand color theory. And honestly, the thighs on some of these players, babes. I am suddenly very invested in athletic conditioning.
Naturally, your commitment to the sport is purely academic and visually driven. But we really have to ask ourselves the hard question here. Are we actually entering our sports era? Or are we just weak, pathetic victims of peer pressure who don't want to miss out on an opportunity for day drinking?
Oh, I will freely admit it is 100% peer pressure. We are terrified of being left out of the group chat.
The FOMO is real.
If everyone is going to a pub, I am going to the pub. If it means I get to eat truffle fries and yell at a referee in a neon shirt for absolutely no reason, I will put on a jersey and pretend I care about a corner kick.
As long as the jersey is tailored, if I am forced to wear polyester, it is going to be cinched at the waist. I refuse to lose my silhouette for athletics.
Exactly. Okay, babes, enough spiraling because we need to get into this episode immediately.
Finally, let's transition from the fake sports we don't understand to the psychological blood sport we are actual experts in.
Let's set the scene for the episode. We are back with Bracket 2. This means we are back with our girls. Crystal Methyd, Silky Nutmeg Ganache, Vivacious, April Carrion, Selena Estides, and Aura Mayari. And the current leaderboard panic is incredibly real.
The panic is palpable.
Crystal Methyd is sitting pretty at the top with 5 points after winning last week's duet challenge and the lip sync. Everyone else is basically scrambling in the dirt for scraps.
It's the messy politics of the bracket system that we really need to unpack, because before they even get to RuPaul entering the room for the new challenge, we have to deal with the MVQ point bartering.
The bartering is so stressful.
The most valuable queen points. Since last week was a duet challenge, the queens had to decide how to dole out their points to their sisters. And this is where the alliances stop being cute and become blatantly transactional.
Okay, so let's look at Silky. Silky openly admits to the room that she needs points because the girls see her as a threat. She knows she's a massive personality, she knows she's a heavy hitter in comedy challenges, and she is basically holding a town hall meeting asking for charity disguised as strategy.
It was a very transparent plea.
So Silky and Vivacious just cleanly swap their points with each other, and April and Selena swap theirs. It's like watching a corporate merger happen in real time.
It's pure cold diplomacy. Silky securing Vivacious's point is a highly calculated move, but the real chaos agent here, the true Machiavellian figure, is Selena.
Oh my gosh, Selena.
Selena is out here playing Survivor while everyone else is playing dress up. She is aggressively peddling this Tres Leches alliance with April, trying to solidify a Latina power block. But then, not even 5 minutes after shaking hands on it, she is scurrying over to Crystal to make side deals.
Selena is hustling so hard, she's making me dizzy. She makes this solemn blood oath with April. Then she's pulling Crystal aside by the mirrors, and meanwhile, Vivacious and Aura are sending out their own quiet feelers in the background. It is absolute paranoia in the workroom.
Heavy paranoia.
But I have to challenge you on this. Is Selena playing the game too hard and making herself a target? Or is she the only one actually waking up and playing the reality TV game?
That is the crux of the episode. Selena's playing the game incredibly hard, but she's playing it entirely too loudly. The key to a successful reality TV alliance, whether you are on a deserted island or in a drag workroom, is subterranean subtlety.
You can't just shout it out loud.
Exactly. When you try to make an overt, loud alliance with everyone in the room, you actually have an alliance with no one. You just look desperate. But you have to respect her hustle. She recognizes that this bracket is structured to push specific production narratives, and she is fighting tooth and nail for screen time and points.
She is fighting for her life.
Yeah.
Okay, so RuPaul finally comes in and announces the Maxi Challenge.
Yes, the digital how-to videos. The rules are elegantly simple, yet somehow proved incredibly confounding to half the cast. The queens must write, direct, and star in their own short, sweet, fun, and informative DIY online how-to videos.
They get to direct the pit crew.
They get to direct the pit crew, choose their own camera angles, and pick literally any topic they want. And the guest judge this week is the iconic Gina Gershon.
Gina Gershon, who, as the internet correctly pointed out, acted like she was judging a highly serious crossover episode of The Celebrity Apprentice and Shark Tank. She was taking the structural integrity of these how-to videos so seriously.
Gina Gershon was earning her day rate. She showed up to work, and she expected a coherent curriculum from these drag queens.
So before they film, RuPaul does the workroom walkthrough. And we have to talk about how RuPaul operates during these walkthroughs.
Yeah.
Ru walks up to Vivacious, who is doing a jerk chicken tutorial, and literally tells her she needs to loosen up.
The kiss of death.
Then he goes to Aura, who is doing a zombie survival guide, and warns her to stop judging herself, which is basically Ru saying you are bombing in your own head before the cameras even roll. And then with Silky, Ru actually seems worried that Silky can't condense her massive, sprawling personality into a tight, structured video.
We need to explain the mechanics of reality TV editing here. RuPaul is not giving constructive advice during these walkthroughs. RuPaul is planting narrative seeds for the audience. He is acting as a producer, setting up the dominoes that will fall during the judging panel 45 minutes later. When Ru tells you to loosen up, it means the editors have already decided you are going to fail. It justifies the bottom placement. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It totally is. It's just setting up the storyline. Okay, let's break down the actual videos. But we cannot just go down the list because my brain will melt. We have to group these by their psychological damage.
Yeah.
Let's start with what I am calling the curse of literalism. April, Carrion, and Vivacious.
The Curse of Literalism is the perfect title. Let's analyze April first. Her video was how to make toe stones. A lovely cultural nod. But let's look at the execution.
Oh, boy.
She took the prompt way too literally. It was giving Ernest Food Network tutorial instead of a comedy challenge. Why are we getting exact measurements and detailed cooking times? We don't care how long the plantain sits in the oil. We want a punchline.
It was so deeply serious. Have you ever watched a drag queen and thought, wow, I should write down this recipe? No, that's not why we are here. The video was genuinely informative, but this is not a culinary institute.
Not at all.
The only genuinely hilarious part was the completely unhinged, out-of-place moment where she was smashing the plantains on the counter with her giant foam breastplate. I lost my mind at that.
That was the one flash of drag absurdity in an otherwise bone-dry cooking show.
Right.
If you're going to make toast-stones, the premise needs a narrative hook. Maybe the plantains are haunted. Maybe you are making them to poison your wealthy husband. Earnestness dies on reality television.
Exactly. You have to be stupid. And that brings us to Vivacious. Her video was how to make jerk chicken. And I have to react emotionally to the absolute dryness of this video. The judges literally looked at her like they thought she was battling a severe illness. It was so flat.
It was anti-comedy. It was almost avant-garde in how completely devoid of kinetic energy it was. But we must address the Reddit snark here because the internet spiraled into an absolute panic over her sanitation practices.
The sink.
Fans were screaming because she was washing her raw chicken in the sink. The comments were entirely focused on bacterial cross-contamination.
I saw those comments. People were so mad about the chicken. Don't wash your chicken. But honestly, some fans were absolutely living for her deadpan delivery. Someone called her the black Snape we needed, which sent me straight to heaven. Just this slow, methodical, unbothered voice.
Black Snape is a terrifyingly accurate description. But while some lived for it, the reality is she was resting on her laurels. Vivacious relies heavily on her old-school club kid legacy, but when you are asked to produce a modern digital short, resting on the phrase, "I'm a legend," doesn't translate through the camera lens.
So true. Okay, moving from literalism to the misfire. Let's talk about Aura Mayeri. How to survive a zombie apocalypse in drag. And we need to talk about the absolute crime she committed here. She had the pit crew on her set playing zombies, and she put clothes on them.
A federal offense,
Yeah.
straight to a maximum security prison.
Why are you covering up the pit crew? That goes against the fundamental tenets of the franchise.
Yeah.
But wait, I want to push back on the judges here. The judges were so icy towards her, they said the comedy beats were off and it felt cringy.
They were very harsh.
But if you look at the fans online, a lot of them actually loved it. They praised her smooth storytelling and thought her genuine obsession with horror movies made it authentic. I kind of liked it. It had a clear beginning, middle, and end.
This is a perfect example of production deciding someone's fate early. Aura's video wasn't necessarily a train wreck, but the judges have clearly decided she is not advancing to the merge, and they are editing her accordingly. They highlight the awkward pauses. They use the rattlesnake sound effect. It's tough to watch, but it's the reality of the bracket system.
It is brutal. They just edit in the crickets. Okay, now we move to the category of weaponized absurdity. Silky, Nutmeg, Ganache, and Crystal Methyd.
This is where the true delusion blossomed into high art. Let's break down the absolute high-concept madness that was Silky. How to make a birthday cake for a user boyfriend.
I needed a whiteboard, a laser pointer, and a flowchart to follow this plot.
It was wildly overcomplicated. Silky is explaining red velvet cake to an off-screen boyfriend who is only dating her out of convenience. Okay, fine, a narrative hook. But then, midway through, we introduce a tiny, miniaturized green screen Silky who represents her conscience sitting on her own shoulder and arguing with her.
I couldn't believe it.
The lore, the world building. It is as structurally complicated as Christopher Nolan's Tenet. It requires multiple viewings to understand the temporal mechanics of what Silky is trying to communicate.
It was so crazy. But the judges loved it. They loved her wacky one-liners and the chaotic energy. But I have to ask you, as someone who values structure, was it actually a coherent how-to video? Because half the time I didn't know if we were baking a cake or going to intensive couples therapy.
It was barely a how-to video. It was a manic episode captured on film. But Silky understands a vital secret about this show. Loud confusion wins over quiet competence.
Wow.
If you are loud, confident, and deliver a few punchy catchphrases, RuPaul will laugh. It breaks the tension in the room. And if Ru laughs, you are safe. It was messy, but it was undeniably Silky taking up space.
Which perfectly segues to Crystal Methyd.
Yeah.
How to make a banana split. I lost my mind over this acid trip. I am still recovering from what my eyes witnessed.
It was an absolute fever dream.
She is dressed as a giant humanoid banana. She is rolling around, covered in mixed nuts and whipped cream. And then, at the climax of the tutorial, she literally gives birth to a small plastic cherry baby. I am screaming, who brings a cherry baby prop from home?
I don't even want to know.
Like, did she know this specific prompt was coming, or does Crystal just travel internationally with a cherry baby in her luggage?
Knowing Crystal, she just has a cherry baby in her carry-on at all times for emergencies. If we compare this to anything in pop culture, it's Pee-wee's Playhouse meets a late-night Adult Swim sketch. It is pure, unfiltered, subversive stupidity. And the absolute brilliance of her staring into the camera and screaming, "Get those nuts in my face."
It was so dumb, but it hits every single comedic note perfectly. Crystal understands the assignment better than anyone.
She really does.
It was perfection. But now we must address the robbery of the century. Selena Estides. How to ensure your boyfriend doesn't cheat.
The injustice, the blatant riggery. Let's describe the visual madness of Selena's video. Selena is in a full head-to-toe green screen spandex suit. She is operating her puppet, Lil Chalupe.
Oh, Lil Chalupe.
And this puppet is completely unhinged. At one point, Lil Chalupe flashes her entire puppet hoo-ha at the camera and then aggressively shoves a taco into a man's mouth.
I'm demanding justice. I am channeling the entire internet's rage right now. Fans are screaming that Selena was robbed. They were pointing out that she has had a total glow-up this season. Her video was giving this elevated, deranged Dora the Explorer reference, and it was top tier. The puppet was everything.
The puppet mechanics were incredibly strong. Was it a bit long-winded, perhaps? The judges claimed it was overly complicated. But if you compare it to Silky's tenet-level cake tutorial, Selena's was far more coherent and visually striking. The internet is absolutely justified in their rage.
So why did she lose?
Why did production cut her? Because she didn't fit the predetermined top 4 narrative they drafted before the season even began. Selena is playing the role of the tragic, robbed queen, this bracket, and it is a bitter pill to swallow.
It makes me so mad. But we need to cleanse our palates and walk down the runway. The category is Barn This Way, Barnyard Elegance.
This was a surprisingly strong runway for such a ridiculous, pun-based prompt. Let's examine the evolution of camp here.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the controversy. April and Selena. They both walked out wearing dresses inspired by hay and the traditional Puerto Rican pava hat. The internet is completely divided. Who wore it best?
It's the classic drag nightmare. 2 girls having the exact same cultural reference on the same runway. April's was very architectural, very structural, like a woven basket turned haute couture. Selena's had more movement and flow.
I couldn't decide.
I'm going to give the edge to April purely based on construction and silhouette, but you can't fault either of them. They both look unique even with the shared foundational materials.
I completely agree. April looks stunning. Then we have Crystal. I am obsessed. She came out in this whore-adjacent, sexy chicken look. Like she was a farm chicken, but make it a hooker. The feet. The giant yellow reptilian chicken feet shoved into high heels.
It was grotesque in the best possible way. Crystal refuses to just be traditionally pretty. If she's going to do glamour, it has to be filtered through the unsettling lens of poultry.
And then, Vivacious. Let's spiral over Vivacious. She comes out in a club kid, drunk John Deere tractor look. She's literally wearing a tractor frame, and it has this tiny, pathetic little wheel dragging in the back. I was laughing so hard, but maybe for the wrong reasons.
You were laughing at her, not with her. Let's be honest about the visual impact. It was giving elementary school science fair diorama. The tiny wheel dragging in the back was the saddest prop I've ever seen on the main stage.
It was so small.
The issue was a total lack of scale. But again, she is deeply committed to her specific brand of drag, even when it completely misfires on modern television.
It was so bad it was good. And finally, Silky. Silky came out as a pink, sexy cow. She had cow ears, beautiful makeup, and a corseted udder. And the udder literally squirted artificial milk onto the main stage.
Which is an image that will be burned into my retinas until the end of time.
But wasn't it the campiest thing ever?
Let's contextualize this. Let's compare this Barnyard runway to the infamous Season 11 Monster Ball. Many of these queens are Season 11 alumni. Silky, Ariel, Brooklyn. You remember the Monster Ball? Season 11, Episode 5. It was a disaster. Girls were falling on stage. The prompts were completely missed. It was messy.
Oh, the Monster Ball.
Yes.
It was iconic for all the wrong reasons.
Exactly. But here, looking at this Barnyard runway, the execution is vastly elevated. Even the misfires, like Vivacious, have a clear, unapologetic point of view. These queens have grown immensely. The fashion has evolved, even if the judging is just as questionable as it was back in Season 11.
The judging is so questionable. Because we get to the critiques, and Ru announces that Crystal and Silky are the top 2 of the week. Selena is crushed. You can literally see her heart physically break on camera.
And this is where the internet discourse truly erupts. We must impartially report both sides of this outrage. On one side, you have fans furious, stating that giving Silky the win over Selena was pure production riggery and favoritism. They feel Selena's puppet video was objectively funnier, better executed, and required more technical skill.
Yes, the riggery comments were everywhere. People are exhausted by the bracket format forcing these mathematically convenient results.
However, on the other side, many fans pointed out that constantly discrediting Silky's hard work and wins carries heavy undertones of anti-blackness within the fandom. Silky swung hard, she delivered a high-concept video that successfully made the judges laugh, and her runway was a memorable, campy spectacle.
Which is totally fair.
To say she didn't earn her spot is dismissing her actual effort and comedic timing. But what is undeniably clear is that the production team seems to desperately want Crystal to sweep this bracket, and they are maneuvering the pieces to make that happen.
We see the strings. We see the puppeteers. But regardless of the riggery, we have a lip sync to get to. The top two, Crystal and Silky, lip-syncing to the Bangles' Hazy Shade of Winter.
A phenomenal high-energy song choice and bizarre visual matchup.
Crystal is fully committed. She changes into a full, hairy werewolf costume. Why? We don't know, but we love the commitment. She's feeling the fantasy. But then Silky. Silky reaches into the abyss and pulls out massive high school color guard flags.
Because why wouldn't she?
And she just twirls them. But the best part is the strategy. She strategically uses the massive flags to literally block Crystal from the cameras the entire time. Every time Crystal tries to do a dynamic move, whoosh, a giant piece of silk obscures her face. It was defensive lip syncing.
Let's talk about the film theory of what Silky did here. Blocking the camera lens is the ultimate power move in a visual medium. It was tactical warfare. Silky understood that the song was Hazy Shade of Winter, and she literally decided to cast a shadow over her opponent. You have to respect the absolute nerve.
It was genius.
The judges live for the aggressive prop work. Silky wins the lip sync, and she gets the extra MVQ point.
Leaving her with 4 points, right behind Crystal's 5. The math is tightening up.
Okay, we need to break this down even further. Let's get into our first segment.
Let's do it.
Welcome to segment 1, Main Character Runway Energy. This is where we discuss who completely owned the screen this episode and commanded every single scene. And for me, I have to lead this discussion with Crystal Methyd. Her absolute refusal to do normal, digestible drag is giving the ultimate main character energy. Oh, without a doubt.
The cherry baby. The chicken hooker. She does not care about looking traditionally pretty, and that complete lack of vanity makes her the star.
Crystal certainly has a gravitational pull. Her weirdness is her superpower. But I am going to argue for Silky's runway presentation as the true main character energy of the week. Let's be analytical. Squirting artificial milk from a corseted udder on the main stage requires immense, almost terrifying delusion. You are looking directly at RuPaul a global drag legend, and you are lactating onto the floor. That takes nerve.
But wait, I have to push back here. Is squirting milk actually main character energy, or is it just desperation disguised as camp? Where's the line between commanding a stage and just relying on shock value prop comedy?
Desperation is just main character energy without a budget. Silky knew she needed to be memorable, and she chose the nuclear option. But speaking of props, how do you categorize Vivacious wearing a giant, poorly constructed tractor? Does that count as main character energy?
Absolutely not. I think Vivacious was a cry for help. Main character energy requires confidence in the execution. Vivacious looked like an extra in a local theater production of Charlotte's Web who wandered onto the wrong soundstage. It was prop comedy, but the prop was broken.
Exactly. Moving to segment 2, the read that sent us to heaven. We live for the shade, and this episode had some deeply sharp moments. I want to highlight the shadiest moment of the entire episode, and the ultimate winner is April Carrion. In the workroom, April turns to Silky and completely deadpan reads her for looking like a car wash.
I gasped. I literally paused the TV and gasped. It was so quick, so devastating, and so surgically accurate. Silky was wearing this fringy, messy, layered thing, and April just cut her down at the knees with 2 words.
It's the reads that are born of quiet, clinical observation that hurt the most. But we also have to bring up Silky's retaliation. Silky was in the workroom openly calling out the girls, specifically April and Aura, who only have looks but no comedy skills. She basically told them to their faces, "You are Instagram models, not entertainers."
And she wasn't entirely wrong. Based on those dry videos, the shade was justified.
It was a very valid critique.
Okay, segment 3. Crown it or cut it? We are going to rapid-fire debate the episode's choices, what deserves a crown and what needs to be cut immediately. I'll start with a crown it. I am crowning Selena's puppet, Lil Chalupe. That puppet was a star, she had better comedic timing than half the cast, and she deserves her own web series.
I will second that crown. I am also going to crown it, or as zombie makeup. Say what you will about her comedic timing, but the prosthetic work and the visual execution of her undead drag was cinematic.
Absolutely. Okay, moving to cut it. I am cutting Gina Gershon's weird judging. It was just, off. She was acting like she was evaluating a Fortune 500 company's marketing strategy instead of a drag queen birthing a cherry. Cut it.
I will also add to the cut it pile Vivacious's flat chicken tutorial. I cannot excuse washing raw poultry in digital short. Cut the chicken, cut the sink, cut the unseasoned delivery, and of course, cut the decision to make the pit crew wear clothes. It goes against everything we hold sacred.
But I have a bigger question for the cut-up pile. Should we just cut the bracket format entirely? If it's forcing producers to artificially rig the points to keep specific queens like Silky and Crystal in the game, isn't the mathematical format itself the problem?
This raises an essential question about reality TV structure. The bracket system is designed to create a pressure cooker, but instead it's just making the production's hand overly visible. When you know two girls must advance to the finale, the judging bends to fit the math. So yes, crown the queens, but cut the bracket math. It's exhausting to watch.
Which perfectly transitions us to segment 4, delusion, confidence, or star power. Let's look at the fine line these queens are walking, because it is a very, very thin line. Let's start with Selena. Is Selena's unwavering belief in her Tres Leches alliance strategy, confidence in her social game, or absolute delusion that these girls won't stab her in the back for a point?
It is pure, unfiltered delusion. Selena thinks she is playing three-dimensional chess, but the other queens are playing dodgeball.
Dodgeball, love that.
An alliance here is only as strong as the next maxi challenge prompt. Believing that a verbal handshake in the workroom will save you from elimination is sweet, but deeply delusional.
I agree. Okay, what about Vivacious? I want to defend the artistry of old school drag for a second. Is her total refusal to adapt her 90s club kid style to modern challenges confidence in her brand? Or is it delusion that she can just coast by on legacy?
What's fascinating here is that it's a mix of both, but tipping heavily into delusion. Vivacious is a legend. Her confidence in her historical impact is valid. But this is a highly specific machine. It requires adaptation. You cannot bring a 1995 aesthetic to a 2026 digital content challenge and expect a standing ovation. Refusing to evolve isn't branding, it's stubbornness.
That is harsh but true. And finally, let's analyze Silky. Is pulling out giant color guard flags and physically blocking your opponent during a lip-sync star power? Or is it unadulterated delusion?
If we connect this to the broader theory of reality TV, taking up space is star power. Silky understands that the camera can only focus on one thing at a time. If you obscure the other person with a massive piece of fabric, you win by default. It's aggressive, it's messy, but it's effective. That is star power masked as delusion.
She is a tactical genius with a flag. This was a lot. We have spiraled, we have snarked, and we have emptied the margarita pitcher.
We really have.
Thank you so much to the Snark Squad for hanging out with us, drinking margaritas, and spiraling over this absolute mess of a television program. We love you so much.
We truly do. But before we sign off, we have some homework for you. We want to ask you directly, who do you think actually won? Look past the editing, look past the point system. Was Selena truly robbed, or did Silky and Crystal rightfully earn their top spots?
Yes, let us know. And I want to ask you, what was your favorite Barn This Way runway? Were you living for the sexy chicken, the squirts of milk, or the Puerto Rican hay hats? Sound off in the comments.
And finally, I want to leave you with a thought that builds on the structural chaos of today's session. Think about this. Does this new points-based bracket format actually ruin the organic reality TV magic? When queens have to vote on each other with points and barter for survival, we aren't watching a talent competition anymore. We are watching a highly produced social experiment where the producers have to push their favorites to the top before the merge to ensure a specific finale. Are we losing the authentic art of drag to the cold, calculated mechanics of reality TV gaming?
Ooh, that is deep. That is the real snarky truth right there. Mull that over. And while you do, remind yourself that the X-ray machine of reality TV is totally broken, and we are happily swimming in the diagnostic muddy waters of riggery. Go grab another frozen margarita, stay fabulous, and we will see you next time.